and welcome to Ambassadors of Recovery Radio. I am your co host, Desiree Villalpando.
I am your host, Anthony Delatorre, and we have a guest today.
We have our third guest on the podcast today. Our guest is Megan.
Hi.
Tell us your name.
Hi. Okay, I'm Megan.
What brings you to Ambassadors of Recovery?
A lot, I guess. Bring my story. Drug court alumni. Yes. Really want to get the message out there and have a good blast with you guys.
Awesome.
How long ago were you on drug court?
2021 or 2021.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I graduated.
So I'm very
Yes.
proud of this.
Yes.
This is her certificate. When she graduated the drug court program, I was her probation officer.
Yes.
There's my signature and our amazing judge.
Yes.
But this took a lot of hard work
Yes.
in drug court.
Definitely.
This is the beginning of their recovery path, right? So typically, a lot of them come straight out of jail, go into like residential rehab. Megan's path in drug court started a little bit different.
Yes, it did.
She's very special
Yes,
indeed.
it did. Yes, it
Tell
did.
us more about it. How did you end up in drug court?
Okay. Well, first off, drug court saved my life.
Yeah.
Oh.
Saved my life. I am so grateful for it. Honestly, like
You saved
I
your
don't think I would be where I am today if I didn't. You know, it was how I got out. You know, I was
Right.
grateful to catch that charge. I was grateful for all of it. Honestly, it really saved my
It really
life.
was you.
Yeah, I did put the work in.
Yeah.
You know, and I definitely wanted to bounce back and put a Band-Aid on the biggest mistake I made.
Right.
You know, which I consider that losing my parental rights,
Okay.
right? So I wanted to just reverse as much as I could, right,
Okay.
with that mistake. And honestly, it was so vague. All right, so I had court. I don't really remember much of anything.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, I was really sick
Yeah.
and didn't even know it. But I do remember you talking with you took me out the court,
Yes.
and I remember we sat down and you sort of told me about the program, and I'm like, you know, I'm ready for some.
Something different.
And I was scared.
Yeah.
I didn't think I would be able to. I had no idea. But I remember asking you, will you hold my hand?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm in. Will you hold my hand? Because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm scared out of my mind.
Yeah.
But, and boom, just
Yeah.
started the process.
Right.
That's an amazing moment. I can tell you, when you finally come to that where you're just like, I give up, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know how to be an adult. I don't know how to live in this life.
Yeah.
Like, if you got the answer, please, tell me, and I'll trust you. I'll figure it
Yeah.
out. I'll follow the way.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And so, you mentioned in court, right? So this was sentencing hearing for the charge that brought you into drug court.
Correct.
And I want to highlight how different it was. Like, your whole process was different because, first of all, people would get sentenced while they're in custody because most people in active addiction, primarily using meth and or fentanyl at the time, were people still using heroin at that time, or did fentanyl start
No, I
coming
think
in?
it was more heroin back in
Okay.
those days.
Dang, so
I think
this
the
was a
start
while.
probably once
Yeah.
we got done is when it probably
Yeah.
started.
Right, so it was heroin and or meth.
Right.
And most of them, like, their addiction was in control so much to the point where, like, they couldn't make their court hearings, so then
Yeah.
they would get a warrant, and then the judges would keep them in custody pending sentencing. So we would get a lot of our drug court participants while they're in custody, and then I'd go pick them up. Megan was different. I don't think you had really ever gotten in trouble, really,
No,
right?
yeah, that was my first big
And were
girl
you
experience.
homeless at the time
I
of your
was
hearing?
so homeless, yes.
Okay, so typically, like, if I was screening her for drug court, and like, I think because of the homelessness and instability, it's hard to track people down to get them to come into the office to do that screening. I was having some issues getting a hold of her, but I don't know, something inside me was saying, just give her a chance. Typically, we'd be like, no, you're too unstable right now, like, you're not and we would just reject and deny and say they're not appropriate right now. But I staffed with the judge and said, I'm willing, if she's here in court today, I'm willing to screen her. Even today, I can screen her if she's willing. Like, go out of court and screen her today for the program. And the judge honored my decision and said it out loud in court after he called your case, right? He's like, well, there's a representative from drug court who wants to speak with you. And at that point, I pulled her out to ask her some questions and sort of screen her. I knew right away, because of the homelessness, that she was definitely in need of our resources and our program. So her path to recovery already started completely different. So tell us about your story and what got you there.
Okay. Let's see here. I know I had to go to the Ark. I remember that too. That was rough. Getting yourself there.
Yeah.
Getting
While
yourself
you're-
there.
yeah,
It was
on-
horrible.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. You gave me a bus pass, and I ran back out again. You know what I mean?
Right.
It took me like I remember being in a hotel room, really contemplating, and at the time I really needed my baby daddy or whatever you call him, support at the time. And by the grace of the Lord, he answered. Right? Usually we weren't talking, and because I was thinking, I'm not coming back. Right? You know, I
Right.
was really this close and running the opposite way.
And just like absconding.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming. It's scared because you think you're gonna go into jail.
Yeah, I
right?
don't. The drug got me so hard.
Right.
I don't even
And you couldn't even stand. the
understand
art.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
yeah.
don't think people realize, like, not only are you on the fight or flight mode, but also you're on a clock, right?
Yeah.
You're on a clock of feeling sick. And so
Oh,
now
yeah.
you're like, okay, well,
Yeah.
if I'm going to go before the judge, I want to at the very least, whatever, be well, right? That's the quote that you tell yourself. But then you start getting high and you're like, well, I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to, so then you
Oh
say,
yeah. Oh yeah. And I was suffering. What it was is I was suffering from a lot of grief.
Yeah.
I didn't understand.
Yeah.
I didn't understand. My
Yeah.
For
sister.
years that you had suppressed in number.
Oh yeah, my sister took her life, and
Yeah.
then I couldn't handle that. And
Yeah.
the only way I ever knew how to deal with death is drugs to
Right.
escape. Right.
Right.
My dad. I did that. It was already a bad form. Right.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know how much grief I was suffering from.
That's it. So I like that. That's what I want to key in on is I think that's something that I always go over with members or just people, anybody that's going through recovery, is that you go through life and you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to deal with something, as soon as you have a quick fix for it, that's what
Oh,
you know
yeah.
is dealing with it, right?
Yeah.
Give us some more backstory on how, like, so I know that you're telling me you're from Philly, right?
Okay, yes.
So give us a story from how you got here, how
Okay,
everything went,
okay. All right. So, young age. All right. My dad was there financially, and I know he loved us and everything, but he was an alcoholic,
Okay,
right?
okay.
But great guy. Did a lot from England, so he was pretty cool.
Really, your dad's
Yeah,
from England?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
really cool.
yeah. So he was pretty cool. My mom was badass woman, still is. She took care of us kids. He was more there financially. He'd be out.
Right.
He'd go. He was suffering a lot too. But he was a good dad. But at a young age, when growing up in that type of environment, a lot of things happened. I had low self-esteem, not understanding it. I was at a young age thinking I had a big nose and I was fat.
Right.
Weird stuff that just naturally came to me, right?
Right.
So
And kids aren't nice, right? Boobs.
I was
I
freakishly
bullied.
tall at a young age.
I was freakishly small. I got bullied a lot.
Yes,
No, I hear you.
and at a young age,
And your
you learn.
nose is beautiful, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, it's like I'm beautiful as hell. What
There
is
you
going
go,
on
handle
here?
it. Yeah.
I
Yeah, like
I had
what
your
is
nose.
going
Yeah,
on?
yeah.
I look back at my older pictures like, bitch, you're crazy. Sorry, I didn't mean to curse, but
No,
like,
you're
oh
good,
Lord.
you're good. It's all good. So it's all good. Yeah.
So anyway, so at a young age, I had a lot of that. I had trouble fitting in, never had the proper clothing, whatever. Anyway, so I got myself in a lot of situations, right? I was 13, becoming fresh, right? Not understanding that.
Right.
And then I got myself in with an older guy. Didn't go well, right?
Yeah.
And I think that rooted a lot of my is that, sexually assaulted
Yeah.
in a way I thought boyfriend, girlfriend do.
Right.
You know what I mean? And boom,
And how
stuff went down.
was the boyfriend?
You want to be 27.
And you were
Okay.
how?
13.
Oh my! Like as a teen girl, I just remember I wanted nothing more than to like grow up.
Right.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
And like have the
What the hell was I
freedoms
thinking?
of an adult, right?
Yeah.
So you're already like wanting to be in these like mature adult relationships, but you don't really understand what's going on.
No.
I think especially like with an older boyfriend.
Oh
right?
gosh, yeah. And I had no idea, like I
Right,
thought
yeah.
he said he was 17. I lied and said I was 16,
Right.
because I was
Right,
freakishly
right.
tall. All these things happen.
Right.
So I think that now looking back, not saying, oh, blaming, but I
Right.
think it could have been, it was a reason,
No,
right?
no, for sure.
And then
Yeah.
later on, right, and it went down bad. So later I didn't deal with any of that.
Right.
So then, I go to high school, I get caught up. I stab a girl at 15. It was a school fight. I was already in the school for bad girls,
Okay.
right? And then got caught up with that, and then I caught like a charge or whatever. I don't even know what my charge was, but I got on probation
Oh.
and went through that. That was horrible because I was out of control at 15.
Right.
I really had a lot of issues. My mom did a really good job trying to help me.
Best you could. Right.
Yeah, the best she could. I had to get emancipated because I wasn't going to school. I had a lot of issues that I didn't even understand.
Right.
Right? I think I was probably already acting out because of that situation,
Right.
right? Then 16, I start doing drugs. Well, 15, I start doing marijuana. 16, the cocaine came into play.
Okay.
And
This is all over at Philly, right?
yeah,
Okay.
and I was already drinking at 13.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So then the cocaine came and do whatever I had to do to get some, partying time, it wasn't like, oh, I need it, but it was
Right.
always there,
That's the
at
focus,
the
right.
same time.
Yeah.
Got myself in another situation, sexual situation. So that added to that, right? And I think for a while I was just, I was lost, I was
Yeah.
really lost, didn't get the proper, but then I violated probation. So when I violated probation, I got sent to Pittsburgh
Right.
for,
Was this like juvenile?
yeah,
probation?
yeah. Juvenile probation. And I got sent to like an adolescent female home for like 13 months. So then I met a counselor. I got some of that therapy I needed, right?
Okay.
Starting that process.
Addressing a little bit of it.
Yeah, a little bit. I
Right.
love it because I was real shut downish because my therapist was really cool. Whoever that, I don't remember now, but she was really sweet and really wanted to help. But you could tell she came from somewhere different.
Yeah.
So that really always
Disconnect.
stopped me. Yeah, it shut me down.
Yeah.
And it wasn't her fault. It was my ignorance, right?
Was it fear, right?
Yeah.
The fear of
You're like,
being
you don't understand me. You
judged.
don't know what the
Right,
hell I
right.
went through. Yeah. Like I was probably judging her,
Yeah.
when she was trying to help. So, so life went on and I was always fighting. I'm out of school by now, you know what I
How old are you
mean?
at this point?
So, all right, so 16, I went in to Abraxas, it was called. Then I got out at 18 and then had to go to a group home and then finally off probation. So I'm 19. Now I'm 19. I'm still in Philly.
Okay.
It's over now. Now I think I'm a boss. Now, you know what I mean? Like, oh,
The behavior set in, right?
Yeah,
Your survival
exactly.
skills,
Yeah.
all that stuff, right?
All that.
It's like, right. This
all
is what
that,
you know. Yeah.
all that. And I was never a fighter, but it always seemed like I had to fight,
Right.
if that makes any sense, right?
Yes, because when you're in fight or
Yeah.
flight, that's your brain constantly being in survival, even if at that time you're not being threatened. But what happens is through trauma and even substance use, your amygdala, your fear
Oh, yeah.
response
Okay.
survival center in your brain gets overstimulated. And over time, then it becomes like neuroplasticity, right? All the trauma, all the repetitive, like chaotic experiences.
Those wires want to get harder.
Yeah, hardened and until like your amygdala is like always being overstimulated. So
Active.
you're always in survival and always in fight or flight, right?
Right.
Because in like if we look at like our primal like what back in the day when we were like surviving or we're like hunters and gatherers.
Well, that's where we get like the fear from dark. You know what I mean?
Yes. So when you're really met with like situation where you're really in danger, that's what happens. But now your brain doesn't know the difference between you really being in danger, and and a lot of times you are. So it's like that part of your survival fear response of the brain is always activated and overstimulated, and so you're constantly feeling overwhelmed, anxious, and then it either turns into aggression, you freeze, or you run.
I think also people forget too, like your brain doesn't fully develop until you're in your mid-20s, you know?
Right.
So at this point, you're 18, 19.
Yeah,
you know?
19, yeah.
So you're hardwiring these responses, you know? Your brain still hasn't fully developed yet, but you're going through, at that point, you think you know how to deal with the world, and then your
Oh,
brain is
yeah.
telling you, that's how I know how to survive, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
So you're a
So
lover, not a fighter.
no, all day. Yeah, definitely. And I always had an issue, maybe because I was freakishly tall, until like ninth grade, when everybody caught up with me.
Yeah.
But everybody was always said I was real intimidating, and I'm like, what?
Well,
No.
that's more speaking on them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, what? No,
Yeah.
I'm a peace and love, peace and love.
Yeah, yeah.
Peace and
But
love.
Yeah.
I also didn't know how to communicate,
Right, right.
So
I
it
don't
was a
think any
different.
of us did.
Yeah,
That-
I know.
That is a reoccurring theme I've had as a male, as a tall male, as a bigger stature, whatever. I mean, I'm not coming in with any kind of,
Yeah.
but I might have a look on my face
Yeah.
where I'm just reading the room. I'm just
Yeah,
absorbing
yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But people read it as that person's being aggressive, that person's trying to start something. So I definitely I feel you on that.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, 19, 20, drank, I drank probably more than I should have. I wanted to, like just binge drinking kind of thing. 19, 20. I was 19 when my dad died. Yeah.
Okay.
And he was supposed to go in, and I still don't really know the whole thing about it, right? Because I was sort of younger, but I know he did have to pull the plug. And that was special for me. I held his hand till he went to the other side. Yeah, yeah. He told me to go to school. I'm 20 years later, but I did go to school.
Yay,
Hey,
congrats.
um,
Associate degree and
Yes.
then continuing
Yeah.
your
Yes,
education.
yes, yes,
Congrats.
yes,
I
yes,
remember
yes.
when you told me about you going back to school and graduating, just super proud.
Yeah, I was super stoked.
A glimpse. We're gonna get to that point for sure. A
Yeah,
glimpse to
yeah,
where
yeah,
the story
yeah,
leads.
yeah,
Where
yeah.
you going?
So, my dad passes away, and in those times, I was doing like cocaine and started smoking PCP.
Okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah,
Scary.
scary stuff, scary stuff.
Dipping the cigarettes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the shroom sticks,
Yeah.
and then also it was like mint leaves and whatever
Yeah, yeah.
stuff, and you could roll it up. Now, and then how I get started with that was, well, I've smoked marijuana out of a blunt before,
Right.
so here, let me hit that,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
and that's my mindset at the time.
Right.
So my dad dies. I go out on like a little binge, for like a week or so. It's just because I didn't know how else to deal with it. You know what I mean? It was shocking, but it wasn't, right? I was able to say goodbye and talk to him
Right.
and all that,
It's
but I
still a
just
traumatic
didn't
moment.
know. Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
know
It's a
how
big
else
loss.
to deal with it.
To
Yeah,
process it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
Because
so
you're hardwired and habits are already, like using, drinking, whatever.
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah. It was
that's
just
like your first
there. Go to.
That's what your mind
Go
goes
to.
Yeah.
So he passes away. So I'm sort of out and about doing my thing, everything like that. Boom, I get pregnant with my first son. Which was awesome, amazing.
Yeah.
It's just the best thing ever. Even though I didn't know what the heck I was doing.
Yeah.
So I got pregnant with him, with Trayvon, 21 now. He just turned 21, so I'm getting old. I got pregnant with him, and with the money my dad had left me, I moved out with my sister to Illinois. Because she was pretty much my baby daddy. You know what I mean? I was like, what? I don't know what I'm doing. So I go move with her, and I started a little life out there, gave birth to him out there. And actually, my dad died on March 2nd, 2003. Trayvon was born March 2nd, 2004.
Oh wow.
Yeah, tripped out, huh?
Wow.
Tripped
Wow.
out. That was special for me. I was like, wow, great. I don't have to celebrate my dad's death,
Is there
I could-
anything about your son that reminds you of your dad?
I don't know. So far, definitely not the alcoholism, so that's really good.
Just any traits or characteristics.
Just Trayvon's really calm. He's real
Okay.
calm, real calm.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
your dad?
yeah. My dad, when he wasn't drink, yeah, he could be really level-headed and calm.
That's great.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's more to come. You know, now I missed some years with Trayvon, but we're rekindling, so that's good.
Yay.
All right, so I had Trayvon. I moved out to Illinois for a while, but my sister was in a small town, so I was in a small town, and I didn't have a car. I didn't have a vehicle, and you know, sometimes when you're not from that small town, it could be difficult to become a part. So I loved it. We went fishing. It was really a different scene from Philly. You know, I really liked it. I was scared because nobody locked their doors. I was the only one locking the door. I'm like, why? What? You know, like,
Yeah.
where's the stick for the back door? You know, like I was tripped out about that. You know, it was just something different, but I was getting used to it. But I had to come back, right? Because I had to come back to Philly because I couldn't make it on my own. You know, it wasn't realistic for me looking for finding a job and getting the daycare, all this, right?
Okay.
To be independent.
Yeah.
So I came back, and you know, eventually I fell right back into the same
Right.
1 2 1 2. You know, here and there drinking. You know what I mean? I'm a mom now, but I would, you know, put the baby in the stroller. Come on, babe, we're gonna go hang out. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, I'm sad to say that, but yeah, like I would drink, you know, smoke weed, just you know, just party. Then me and my brother got an apartment together. That was really cool. I lived with my mom actually first before that apartment. Lived with my mom, and my mom's like, "Baby, what the hell?" You know, oh no, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
they want to fall in love, obviously,
Right.
obviously. So they had a great bonding time, and then me and my brother we moved into an apartment. Now me and my brother, we love each other. It's a great relationship, but when there was drinking involved, it would be
Yeah.
all bad, all bad. We like all our lives just fighting to the death, right? But love each other too.
Right,
Don't break up that fight, because then we're gonna come after
Right,
you,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
mind
yeah,
your
yeah,
business,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Yes, don't pick sides. Stay out of it,
Unreal, unreal. So that was funny. Let me see here. So we did that for a while.
Okay.
I'm pretty bad on the cocaine now. You
Okay.
know, I get what had happened was when I was 19. I forgot this. When I was 19, I got hit by a car. Right,
Okay.
I got hit by an Explorer. Had some settlement money finally come in.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
bad,
yeah, yeah.
all bad.
Yeah.
Do you want a financial advisor? Oh hell no, I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
Don't no. I
I
should
know
have
how to
said
be a
yeah.
baller on the streets. You
Yeah.
kidding me?
Oh my gosh. So that wound up being a big issue. You know what I mean? I got like 50 G's
Yeah.
back, and in those days, I didn't know anything about bettering yourself. I
Right.
lived in an apartment my whole life, which was fine, but I didn't know anything about wanting a house or, you know,
Yeah.
deserving a house and a
Investing and
car. You know,
saving.
oh
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, there's buses all day. You know, in Philly,
Right.
like
Right.
whatever. I don't, you know,
Yeah.
I didn't understand any of that, right? So unfortunately, I snorted like 20 G's of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
how it
quit
goes
my
down.
job.
That's how
I
it
didn't
goes
call
down.
this
Yeah.
person, that person, you know, like, so that obviously got really ugly quick.
Yeah.
Of course, Trayvon, you know, was a little baby and everything like that. I wound up getting into some stuff, had a party. I had gotten a gun, you know, like, I had a party. My gun got stolen. It was a horrible mess. And then somebody came to borrow my gun, right, or to ask me to. Then there was a shooting. I almost got, you know, like I had to dodge bullets, and that's when I was like, and I was smoking PCP really bad. I forgot that.
Yeah. That's gonna
So
cause some paranoia for sure.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it comes,
PCP and coke?
yeah,
I don't even know. I wouldn't
yeah,
even know
yeah.
how that is or.
Wild, because first off, the PCP can make you feel like you're real spiritual at first, but that 1 second later,
Yeah.
you can think, you know, I could think you're about to eat me, you know,
Yeah.
or you really
Yeah.
really lose
Plus
it, right?
coke, staying up all night.
No, yeah, it was all bad.
Yeah.
So what so finally I come home one day. My brother was watching the baby, right? I maybe had a bad batch or needed more withdrawal, whatever it looked like.
Right. Right.
I come home, and Trayvon was 2 at the time. And he comes running down the hall, and he, you know, mommy, or whatever that looked like. I thought he was going to kill me.
You
Literally,
thought
he was going to kill me.
Yeah.
son was gonna kill
The
you 'cause of
paranoia.
Right.
PCP
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
coke?
yeah, yeah.
And
So
how old was your son?
2.
And you thought he was gonna
Yeah.
kill you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, your mind goes into right.
Yes, by some grace, you know, I jumped into the bathroom and into the shower, like, and went to hide. And I had my phone, and I called my mom. I was like, Mom, you know, I've been lying to you. You know what I mean? I need help. I've been smoking PCP. You know what I mean? I need help right now. My mom had to leave work, and she took me to one of the mental hospitals out there in Philly. And I mean, I was tripping. It was
Yeah.
terrifying. My skin was burning. I felt like there's bugs everywhere. I had a hairnet on because my hair was bothering me. I had sweatpants on. I was scared of my mom's cigarette smoke. She didn't smoke in, I don't even know how long that she was smoking that day. Poor lady. Oh, she went through me everything. I couldn't imagine being on the opposite side of that.
Yeah.
She had to be terrified.
Yeah.
I looked like a weirdo. I had like stuffed animal, you know, my bunny rabbit, stuffed animal, rest in peace. Oh, I don't have her
Shout
no
out Bunny Rabbit.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I don't have her
Getting
anymore.
through
Yeah,
the
yeah,
worst trips
yeah,
of her
yeah.
life.
Oh man, and you know, my mom's trying to get me in, and I'm out of my mind.
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine. You know, we laugh about it now, right?
Right, but that's probably
And I'm
fucking
grateful.
real scary
Yeah,
situation
yeah,
then. Yeah, yeah.
and so anyway, I'm walking like this. My sweatpants are up here. I'm all like, you know, I'm out of my mind, and I had to stop to pick some flowers. You know, after all that, there were some pretty flowers out there, so I'm all like, start picking flowers, and my mom's like, "What
The
is
fuck
going
is
on?"
going
Yeah. Oh,
on?
poor lady. Thanks, mom. Man, you're the
Yeah,
best. So we get in, and then all I see is this. I see everybody just shaking their head, like, "What is
Yeah.
this? What?" You know? I'm like, "Why is everybody? Why are you everybody judging me, looking at me?" You know?
Yeah.
I'm tripping.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing none of this.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
So I had to
your
get checked
guilt
in.
being projected onto them. And
Oh
Probably,
yeah,
yeah.
it was scary because I could have, you know.
Yes.
So I got checked in, and I had to be there for a little bit, to the point that my sister, you know, she had to drive from Chicago or Illinois to come get Trayvon. You know,
Okay.
I had to have help, and then my goal was to go back out there when I was better and healthier, right? So I do that in there, and it comes to the time. So Trayvon had, you know, a lot of it. You know, he's been going through this for a while now with me, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So he got more, you know, of, he had to go live with Aunt Candy for about maybe a little time. It seems like a little bit of time. I don't really exactly remember, but I remember missing him for a while. Maybe I had to get stuff together. I don't think it was just like that after I got out,
Right.
if I can say
Makes
so.
sense, right.
Yeah. So I finally get out there, and oh man, it was nice. It was a culture shock, like I said before, you know, but I learned about snowmobiles. It was pretty cool, you know. So we stayed out there for a while. I stayed out there for a while, and eventually started my family, right? But at one point, I had to leave my sister's house with Trayvon.
So you're living with sister, and you guys are, like, your life's getting back together. You have your
Yeah,
son.
yeah,
You're with sister.
yeah,
Whatever. You're building
yeah,
up a life and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
and maybe not putting, you know, just sort of surviving right now. I'm not working,
Right.
right? I'm sort of just trying to get taken care of, right? And eventually we had to go to a shelter, right? Bigger city, or a college city. It wasn't bigger, but
Right.
you know, so buses, jobs, you know, because my sister was in this small little town, right? So me and Trey wound up going to a homeless shelter for a while, and that's where I met the father, you know, baby daddy or whatever you want to call him. And you know, then I eventually started my family that way, you know.
Okay, I get you. Okay. All right.
We were homeless for a while, you know what I mean? We had to get our things. You know, there was a lot of addictive behaviors. There was just a lot of behaviors I didn't understand on how to be stable. You know what I mean? That was a big thing. I always worked. I was a worker
Right.
bee since I was 15. That wasn't the problem, but
What good is money and what good is all that
Yeah,
if you don't know
how to
to
be
stay
stable,
like,
yeah.
have a healthy life? You know what I mean?
so all that, we started doing the thing in Illinois. We did good for a while. So definitely where all the drugs slowed down, right? Now I had some hiccups before that, actually. Before we finally got a little stable, then the ecstasy came around. Yeah, I always did some binges. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
didn't just go, go, right? But once I got pregnant with my second son, Junior, things slowed down a lot. You know,
Start getting
yeah,
serious about being a
serious.
mother.
Oh yeah, best high in the world. You know,
Yeah,
is to be
yeah.
a mom. Uh So we went that, and we started getting a little place, and we started with a little studio, and my sister was starting to let Trayvon come back, and I never properly thanked her for that. I regret that
Yeah.
because like I was embarrassed, right? I was embarrassed, and at the time I couldn't sit down and give her eye contact,
Right.
and be like, thank you, that's, I really appreciate it. I never,
That's you
my
acknowledging.
gestures showed, yeah, but never really looked her in
Yeah,
the
that's you
face.
acknowledging like you're taking
Yeah, it's like,
accountability and
man,
that's hard to do.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, I was still a little ashamed of it,
Yeah.
but
If she was here, like right
mm,
now, and you could tell her thank you, what would you say to her?
I would definitely just tell her thank you so much. Thank you for always being there. She was like my second mother, my best friend. That's why it was like such a shock, dude. It was too much. But things happen for reasons. I'm a strong believer in that, and now
Yeah.
time has healed. I
Mm-hmm.
think everything worked out, because like when I lost my parental rights, it would have been me. You know what I mean? Sometimes I like to think that, I mean, she should have been here too, but maybe it was all written out somehow, right?
Yes.
Well, let's go down the storyline so it makes
Okay.
sense for everybody.
Okay,
So,
okay, okay,
so you
okay.
served there at Illinois.
Yeah, I'm in Illinois.
Uh-huh.
Got a little studio. We're starting a family thing.
Uh-huh.
Third child comes along. I was, and this is, I smoked weed, but other than that, no drugs no more.
Okay.
Right? I definitely probably drink.
How long was this period of sobriety besides like weed?
10 years.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Megan.
10 years.
That's yeah. So you, okay.
Yeah. I had a nice
So you built
stretch.
some good footing.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I love being a mom and having the responsibilities. It was probably what I was craving all along, right?
Right.
Having that sense of purpose.
So we spent a few years, and it's all mixed. I should write it down one day so I don't lose it all, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because everything just blends together. But we did the family thing in Illinois for a while. We were doing it. We still had a lot of unhealthy issues, right? I
Right.
didn't. A lot of it was me. A
Yeah.
lot of it was me. I was very abusive, physically, mentally, emotionally. Like,
Again, stuff that because you haven't dealt with a lot of stuff
yeah,
that you haven't addressed. Right?
my baby daddy, like he didn't have a father, so he was
Yeah.
just winging it.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
was
yeah.
he was a real good guy. Yeah, patient, right? I always he couldn't hold a job that well, but you know what I mean. If he had one issue, he would bounce out, right? But whatever, we did
Right.
it for a while. We did it for a while. We were always poor, then poor, but we made it work. You know what I mean? Like, so it went well for a while. So we moved sort of in that area, which was not the best area, right? My record, with evictions and this and that. So we had to live in what's now like right there on Valencia and South Six is the hood. It's not the best
One
place,
of the pockets of the hood in
Right.
Yes.
many areas we have in our city.
But man, we had a little square of a backyard. We were stoked, dude.
Yeah.
Like we flew out here. It was a big trip, you know what I mean, for the boys. They were really excited. It was brand new, coming here. We were like, wow, it was a really good experience, coming. I remember that. That was pretty fun. Palm trees. We're like, whoa. We're like, what's this? It was dope.
That's how I
Man,
felt.
it was insane. It was something else. We were like, yeah, and
You're funny.
yeah, it was pretty. It was pretty, and so we started. We were happy. We were happy in our little ghetto, little apartment.
Yeah.
We didn't have a car at the time, so I had to walk them to sign up for school, and that was a mean walk. But we always made it an adventure. We always loved being around each other and stuff. They did good in school. And there was still issues, with me and him, bouncing back and forth and stuff. I was probably drinking here and there, I never I didn't understand the connection, how alcohol
The coping.
could lead,
Right.
and could
Yeah.
lead to
Right.
it. I didn't need it
Right.
I wasn't like full blown if that's not justifying, but
No, it makes sense.
I'm
No,
like,
right.
whenever I wanted it, hey, I'm gonna get it, right?
Right.
That's where I was at.
It was still an unhealthy coping mechanism. Is
Yeah,
what
definitely,
right? What you're seeing
definitely,
now, right?
definitely. I still always had the urge, like, "Ooh, I want to kick it," you know what I mean, and
Yeah.
not understand there's other ways to do that, right?
Yeah.
So we're doing our thing. All right, so fast forward, I went to school for a little bit, right? The college degree that took me a little more than it needed to, but I was starting to go to school. Then I had to stop, and then was still working at Walmart for a while. Got pregnant with my fourth boy, Theo, and oh man, that I was excited. We had lost one previous. I got pregnant when I first got to Arizona, and obviously it wasn't meant to be. I wasn't even able to get insurance yet, so it just wound up happening. I was like a week away from having to give birth to a stillborn, you know.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I beat that bullet. I was grateful for that because I don't know if I could have done something like that. But it was a strange feeling, you know. I was pregnant for 5 months, but it was passed away in my stomach for a little bit. But like it was strange losing it and then not having a baby. Like I almost got to a weird point. I was going to hold a baby doll. Like I was mentally, I had to accept it, and it was strange. That was a hard time for me, but I didn't do, I didn't cope like I usually had coped. Right, I had a family, right, so that was a different way to cope. Like I had the support I needed, I guess, or I knew I had to go on, but it was difficult.
Yeah, the other boys depending on you.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah, 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 yeah. Everything was going really good. I was in school. I was doing great in school. I was happy. The boys were happy. I was pregnant with this guy, with Theo, and oh, it was so beautiful. I was so in love. And then that time comes, right? The time comes that I see this weird Facebook message. All right, well, wait. So I'm happy, happy, happy. It's time to give birth to Theo. Give birth to Theo. Everything's going good. I talked to my sister, like, yeah, he's great. He's doing good. He's doing good. 10 toes, 10 fingers, or whatever, like that. And I had a C-section, my last one. I thought I beat the system, right? I'm like, the doctor offered it. So I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'll beat the system. I'm like, all right, sign me up. I didn't know anything about a C-section, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to pass all the pain. Oh, no, it was worse.
Yeah.
All right, so this part was fine getting them out, no breeze, but your body heals differently.
Yeah.
Which I found out later, right?
Yeah.
My legs were
Cut
like
you
this.
open.
I couldn't
Yeah.
move.
Yeah.
So it was a really difficult process to heal. So this is, then, all right, so gave birth to Theo, and I'm healing and suffering. So I didn't call my sister for a couple days, man. And this is where, like, which I forgave myself now, but I didn't call her for a few days. And
Were
then,
you guys usually talking every day?
yeah, talking every day and or every other day, right? I'm living
Checking
my
it.
life, right?
Right.
Living my life and everything, checking in and, what's new and, not thinking and, oh, I'll call you tomorrow. No, but you don't, you get caught up.
Right.
You're not thinking nothing's going down. And then eventually, I get that, I see a weird a Facebook message, and I see that, I call my niece, or my niece calls me, or one or the other, and she tells me, she was the one that found her, and she tells me, Dad, I thought it was a joke. I couldn't comprehend it, right? For a while, nah, get the fuck out of here, man. Where's my sister, Put her on the phone, stop playing. But it wound up being happening, she like, hung herself.
Oh my
She was going
goodness.
through a lot. She suffered from alcoholism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She drank a lot and then
And then
go too far,
and then her daughter found her.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
man.
So she had to go through her own.
How old was she?
Oh man, my sister, the autumn or
Well, both. Your
okay.
sister.
So
and
my
your daughter.
niece, I don't really honestly know at the time. I want to say 19, but I don't really remember.
Okay.
But she was an adult,
Okay.
or close to it,
Right.
right? But still young, too
Yeah.
young,
For sure.
And then my sister was 42, which is the age I am now.
Okay.
So that means a lot to me, being that age, So that really messed things up.
Yeah, man. I can only imagine.
Really, and the shock of it, right? It's
Yeah.
one thing knowing, oh, somebody's sick, you're gonna pass.
Yeah.
It's a
Well, not just
you
that,
sort
but
of have
guys,
time.
like you said, you guys have been talking.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, sister has been there to be
Always.
big sister to help you out, right?
Always, yeah.
And so there's this gap of, I can only imagine, of
Yeah.
like why are you not telling me what's going on? And she's not telling you.
Yeah.
She's, so that's got to eat you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I
Oh,
can
yeah.
imagine, dude.
Yeah. You know, I used to live in the basement she did her thing at, so I felt bad that I left, right?
Yeah.
But you were like, we're grown, right? I'm like, oh, I'll come visit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You're not going anywhere, right? So we got to be careful to accept or, always assuming that, right? So that really put a damper. I could not comprehend it. I could not let it go. Like first off, I have a brand new baby, right? 5 days later, Theo was only 5 days. And not an excuse, but probably a good reason, right? And I probably had postpartum,
Yeah.
right?
It's just a
Going
perfect
through
Oh
storm.
my gosh,
Yeah.
I
Right.
could not
Just
stop
one thing after
crying.
another after, right.
Yeah, I could not stop crying. I mean, it destroyed my relationship. Like, like the poor him, he had to be like, oh, come on. And like what I really gave me up, I remember crying, 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 crying. And I remember thinking, I seen that look on him. You know what I mean? And I don't even know if that was real, but I could not let it go. I was struggling. I had no idea about grief counseling
right.
or places that I could have really went. I did reach out. I think that was the first time I went to COPE services.
Right.
You know what I mean? I really tried to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
I was suffering from these nightmares. I got on medication, but I couldn't take the medication because I had a brand new baby, right, for the sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it was meant to be, right? Here comes somebody, a neighbor, trusted him, right? Smoke some weed with him or whatever. Chill with me and baby daddy or whatever. He busts out a little thing of powder. So I'm like, and I mean, when my sister passed, I was never going. I'm never doing drugs or drinking ever again. I was really
Right.
like that. And then I was struggling. I was really struggling, and the neighbor, he busted out just a little bit of powder. I didn't know shit about meth. I knew that back in Philadelphia, the Hell's Angels would have it, right? But that's all I knew about it.
Right.
That's all I knew about it. Bad stuff. I didn't even know much about that information, right? So he was like, "Yeah, you want to do something?" I thought it was cocaine, and maybe he didn't. It wasn't his
Right.
responsibility, but he didn't
Either-
tell me
right.
what it was either,
Right.
right? Of course not, right?
Right.
He had ulterior motives, as it happens like that, right? And so I was like, oh, you know what? I just happened. You know what? I'm gonna do a little line for my sister, for the homies. You
Right,
know what I mean?
right.
For the homies, right? This is for you, Candy.
Yeah, it's wild. How
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So I did, and just a little bit, and it burned.
Yeah. Right.
It burned, and I was like,
That's not coke.
I was like, what the fuck? Yeah.
Yeah.
First time.
Meth will tear up.
I had
your-
no idea what
yeah.
the hell's going on, right? So, of course, he tries to take advantage of me, right? He had his whole little scheme going. I trusted the fool, right?
Right.
Like, to the point, I'm like, yo, man, you're supposed to be my friend, back off, And I grabbed the baby, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
get the
yeah.
fuck out of here, right?
Yeah.
Like, and he must have been on for a while, right? Like, to the point, I'm like, well, come back tomorrow. I had to get him out.
him out,
He was
yeah.
like a grizzly bear, it was sort of scary. So I got myself out of that, and he leaves, and I Google it. I'm like, what the hell is my nose burning? What the heck? I Google it, and it's meth. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh shit. One little line have you up for like days.
Yeah.
Days, right? I was always a cocaine person. I loved it, right? I'm up for days. I can do
Right.
what I gotta do. I'm not having these nightmares.
Right.
Right? That's where it started going.
Right, it hits that spot to where it's, bam, I remember this helped me in the past.
Yeah, and I was like, oh man, I'm not having those nightmares. I'm up, I'm doing this, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Like, woo, I'm Superwoman, right? And so I made myself get addicted to it. Weird. Like, weird.
Like you have to really want it to like.
Yeah, strange. You know what I mean? Like, it automatically took me, or I made it take me, maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe I mean, meth is very addictive. Don't get me
Right.
wrong, but here comes the escape. I made myself get addicted. I didn't know anything about it or where to get it.
Right. Well, the thing that I'm hearing, and it's wild, because when you start listening to people's stories enough, whatever, it's like you said in the beginning, you didn't know what you didn't know and how to deal with certain things. Right?
Yeah.
And there was all these things that didn't get dealt with, right? And so one of the big thing is like, sister stepped in. I never got to say thank you to her. I never got to address like how maybe accountability, like I messed up, whatever that looks like,
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden a perfect storm hits, sure enough, that behavior comes in. That's all you
Yeah,
know as
yeah,
being able to.
yeah.
So now it's like, okay, well, this is what I know how to cope with it. I don't know how to do
Right.
anything else. You know.
Right. And it was weird. I wasn't even dreaming of looking. Like I wanted something
Right,
totally
right,
different, and phew,
Right.
you know. So and I'm grateful for it, really, because
Yeah.
I wouldn't be where I'm at today, right?
Right.
Wow. Your story is incredible.
Thanks. I feel like I'm all over the place.
No,
but,
no,
No,
all right.
you're not.
But I want you to keep it. So like, so you started using meth again, and then what happened?
Yeah.
What happened from there?
Okay, so unfortunately, I found, my son's friend's mom had it, right?
Yeah.
So I started using code, and I'm like, I don't know, so started using meth. Told my baby daddy about it, right? Yeah. Oh, that was a hard day. Oh, he dropped to the ground crying. Like, it was bad. I felt so bad. And hey, Rob, can you come get my stuff? I don't want to do this. Please, my brother,
Right.
he would come get it and throw it away. And then I go back. I was
Right.
suffering. I didn't know how else to get help. Yeah, I didn't even know I needed help, right?
Right.
So eventually, once you do it, it brings in the storm, it
Yeah.
takes everything, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was still suffering so bad, I wasn't giving my baby daddy the right love or attention.
Right.
You know,
How long were you using meth before like it progressed to the point where you lost everything?
yeah, all right. So I would say 6 months to a year.
Yeah,
Damn,
it can go
that
quick,
fast.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
God.
Run through
Yeah.
real quick,
And
right?
and honestly, it's sort of a blur, but it went pretty fast. I mean, it went pretty fast to a sense that, he couldn't take it no more, right? He started doing drugs, right? For whatever reason, and he leaves. I was dependent on, I didn't have all the money for rent.
And now you have all these kids.
Yeah, I have the kids, no rent money.
And
We
obviously
get
that
evicted.
comes first on
Yeah,
the priority list, right?
yeah, we get evicted. So I'm like, what's gonna happen? I try to hold on to the kids as long as possible, right? I'm not letting go. My kids were making, but they had to go live with dad, and it was a hard day, dude. Like, I'll never forget it. Like, I was standing at my job, and I'm working at a Circle K, and they were all excited, right? Something new for them. They were young. They didn't, ooh, we're moving. But for them to, like, forget about me, dude, like, or how I felt, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to cry, but yeah,
No,
that was
no.
a strange feeling. That was a strange feeling, like packing away. So
They were gonna
added
go
to
and
the
you were gonna-
abandonment, right?
They were gonna go and you were gonna stay.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, because me
that's
and dad
hard.
aren't together.
Right.
I
So
got
they were
evicted.
where were they gonna go?
Dad had an apartment for him.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're going with dad.
Yeah.
And, while you tried to like.
And I was so ignorant. I didn't understand Sister Jose's. I didn't understand
Right.
homeless shelters. I didn't understand the resources that
No,
we do have.
But in that moment, your kids are looking. At
And
you,
I'm also on drugs, right?
Right.
Yes.
So they're
So
looking at you thinking like, oh, we're going like this is the
yeah,
this is
yeah,
But
exactly.
you're
It
not-
wasn't
but
their
you-
fault.
But you know, this is goodbye.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
it was, yeah. And for it to be so easy hurt me.
Yeah.
But I'm also, once you're doing that stuff,
Yeah.
you're not thinking right. I'm already
Yes.
gone.
Yes.
I'm
you're
already
done.
gone before I realized it.
Yes.
Well, then it just builds up on each other. Then it's guilt of more shame and more shame. It's like, well, I'm a piece of shit, whatever.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
what I
you
deserve.
believe it, you believe it.
You deserve this, whatever, and that shit just piles on one another, and it makes it even more of a miracle for you to even get out of that.
Yeah, I wound up getting fired from the job, right? You know how it goes, right? I get fired from the job, and boom, here comes the first day of homelessness.
Yeah.
Terrifying. I just hung around my job, my old job,
Yeah.
the Circle K. I didn't know how to leave. I was scared out my mind.
Yeah.
And it was sort of interesting because you could see how, we are animals, right? The instinct kicks in, right? You have
Yeah.
no idea what's going on, but you
Survival.
slowly turn into surviving.
Yeah.
And it was a crazy thing, I was terrified at first, and I was just holding my stuff, this and that. But then I slowly started realizing to dress prettier in certain different ways, to get certain different attention,
Yeah.
to get
For
certain
money.
different help,
To,
right? You wind up surviving. It works for you for so long. And now you're in the life.
Right.
Now I'm in the life.
hustling,
I'm on the streets, South Six.
so sick.
Yeah.
I smoked it for a little tiny bit, and I went right to shooting it up.
Yeah.
right to it, right? I wanted to die,
Yes.
right? I'm slowly
Yeah,
committing
Especially
suicide.
at this
without
point,
your
it's,
kids.
It's a full
I,
case of fucking.
yeah,
Right,
I
right.
have, yeah,
What do you have to live
nothing,
for? Right.
nothing to live for. At the time, I'm thinking this.
Right. Right.
Yes.
Nothing. I mean, I had so much grief and so much abandonment. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I really didn't,
You're just trying
unfortunately.
to fill that void each
Yeah,
time. Right.
yeah. And by now, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm so in, and I don't even
Is it just meth
understand
at this
it.
point, or heroin and meth? Or
No,
meth?
just meth.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
meth.
It's
I'm grateful
only
for that.
Just mess, but
And I was fighting DCS, so I would go. Sick though. I was sick. Anytime I had court, I get high before.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which was unfortunate, right?
yeah.
I didn't comply anything.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't comply 1 second with DCS, which I regret, right?
Right.
But I forgave myself for that. You know, I'm sick. I'm super sick. I don't understand why everybody left me. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
boo
All of a
hoo.
sudden
I'm
resentment comes in.
self-loathing.
Victim
like,
mindset.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm victimizing myself.
Projecting
Yeah,
everything
like
on
why'd
everyone
everybody
else.
leave
And
me?
it's
You
all
know,
justification for your
and you
current
boom,
lifestyle,
boom.
right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Not even realizing. I used to make, so I'm out there on the streets. I'm surviving. You know what I mean? Got myself in a lot of pickles I had to get out of, but I always stayed to myself. I was always true to myself in a sense. Like, I wasn't stealing. I would always try to help others out there, but you can't really do that. You get taken advantage of.
Yeah.
I would always make a list on how to get out the life, right? And I would be
No
like,
way.
I'd be like, get a job, do this, do that, and dope would always be the last one on my list.
And get a 20.
Yeah, yeah. It'd be like, but dope was like, then stop the dope, number 6. Like,
Then stop.
it was
the
crazy.
Dope. Wow.
And then so I finally I got a job. I got a job. I was like,
Probably because you were like subconsciously manifesting it with the list.
yeah, I
you were
wanted
writing.
out from day
Yeah,
one.
Yeah.
Right.
I just,
That's crazy that you knew to like make lists.
yeah, yeah. It was,
And manifest
it
your way
was
out.
wild.
That's crazy.
It was wild, and then it came to a point that I got a job at Burger King. Passed the interview. They're like, all right, your start date this day, boopity bop.
While you were homeless.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. The only thing is, when I get in the parking lot, I couldn't do my 1-2, so
Right.
I never get in the building.
Yeah.
I never leave the car.
You're trying to
I'm
get-
outside for like 8 hours.
Trying to get a shot.
Yeah. So that came to realization, like, okay, Meg, whoa, this is real. You know,
yeah.
this is serious. This is not
I can't even get one off the list.
Yeah, like,
right?
yeah, Meg, all right, now you're, still not understanding I'm an addict, right?
Right, right.
Right.
Still not understanding that, oh, I do drugs, right? Oh, I just feel bad. Really, I wanted someone to come rescue me too,
Yeah.
right? So I got myself in all this mess. So I realized that was a rude awakening, like, oh shit, I can't get a job. You know what I mean? Like, this is serious. But I still don't know how to get out. And at this point, I'm so sick, I don't even know the word rehab.
Right, right.
I don't even know the word rehab. I'm in the different hotels, just the life where it takes you. So let's see here. So the life, I'm doing this, going
I'm
through a
guessing
lot
at
of
some
stuff.
point you get charges. or
Yeah,
something, right?
yeah.
You were up until you get charges. How long were you homeless?
Okay, good. All right, so about 3 years. Yeah,
Okay.
3 years. So we got the beginning of 17, homelessness, right? 18, horrible year. 19, and not until 2020 when I catch the big one. Now I had caught, all right, so let's see here. I caught a case at the bus stop because I had paraphernalia. And that's when they were doing bus stop stuff. Now they gave up on that. But I caught a case. They just came over and I asked too many questions. I was too honest, and they couldn't find me in the system. But let me say this, right? Let me say this. This is the beauty of it. I have to say this. Is it all right if it's a little spiritual, right? Obviously.
Oh no.
Check it out. Yeah, I know we just did all spiritual.
Yeah.
Check it out. Check this out.
Touched it.
Yeah, check this out. It's insane. It's insane. All right, so I'm struggling. I got to get out. I don't know what to do, right? I wind up being with a guy, he drops me off South 6. There's a church. I don't know if anybody ever Unleashed, right? It's on South 6. We used to go there with the kids, right? Because we live across the street. I happen to be there. I'm down and out, right? I had this little dress on, like,
Yeah.
I can't believe it. So I go in there, right? And I'm like, I need help. I need something. I'm gone, right? I go into the church. I was embarrassed of my dress, even though they said it was fine, right? I just didn't, it was a churchy dress, right?
Right.
They take me into this closet. There's this beautiful, like a business type dress that I love those dresses, but it fit me perfectly.
Uh-huh.
I go, I'm crying. All I'm doing is crying. I'm just crying. I'm like, I need help. And I'm not real religious, but I'm spiritual. But the word was like, "Thee who needs rest, come to me, and I'll give them rest," or something like that. And I was like, "Oh, that's me." Ooh, And I talked to like the counselor there, and I just needed it, right?
Yeah.
Some validation and stuff like that. So I listened, to the pastor, and who he's still the pastor there. And he was like, "Yeah, help me." I'm like, "Yeah, I like to wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? So I could be with, him, and before the world starts, but
Yeah.
hustle and bustle and do. At the time, that stuck to me, right? So at the time, my mom was sick, wound up being, her chimney was reversed, and she was like, see, what is it? That poisoning? The sea?
Carbon,
Yeah, she was getting
carbon monoxide?
yes.
Okay.
She was really sick. She was like throwing up all the time. I thought she was gonna die. So I was like, oh, I cannot have my mom die with a
Yeah.
needle in my arm, right?
Right.
So I was sober for a week out there, trying to make it, trying to figure it out, right? So unfortunately, I couldn't take it anymore, right?
Yeah.
It happens to be 4 a.m. and I'm out and about looking for some. I'm like, I have to find this. I have to find that. Nobody had none. I happen to realize it's 4 a.m. So I'm walking. And I remember it just bink in my head, and I'm like, man, I ain't got shit else. I don't know what else to do.
This is my time.
Fuck it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just like, and I was like, well, hi, I was like, hey, I was like, I need help. Please get me out of here. Please, I don't know how to get out. I told him, I was like, I don't know how to get out. I really don't.
Praying to God.
Yeah. And it was quiet. It was just exactly what the
Where
pastor.
were you?
I'm on right almost before Benson and Ajo. So I'm on the corner right there.
Wow.
Do you just like sit down, or you just
No, I
like,
was
or just sit
walking.
up and you're
I was
thinking,
walking.
and you're praying to God,
Yeah,
like, hey,
yeah. I'm like, look, please. I was like, all right, well, here we go.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to do, and I was like, I don't know how to get out. Please help me get out.
yeah,
And left it at that. And it's crazy, And as I get to the corner, right, this bus comes this way, right, and buses aren't running just yet, right,
Right.
and it stops, and it wound up being a friendly guy I knew, and he's like, hey, you know what I mean? Come on the bus. He gave me a free ride. So I jump on the bus with not like he was a stranger, right? But I knew of him. I knew him for a little bit, so he wasn't a stranger, but he wasn't my best friend either.
Right,
You know what I mean?
100%, yeah.
But he was safe. So I got a safe ride. I got some money. You know what I mean, to start my day, right? And these
Right
little,
after you
yeah,
prayed,
yeah,
it's an intention to do that.
exactly. And little tiny things happen, and then all of a sudden, I'm at the bus stop. I'm minding my own business. I had $2. It's when we had to pay for the buses, right?
Right.
And I'm like, all right, am I gonna walk or am I gonna
Keep
get
the
on the
$2.
bus?
Right,
Yeah,
right,
because I was
right.
thirsty. I had $2.
Yeah, you gotta finance like that when you're in the
and
streets for sure.
and it was weird because I wasn't doing anything wrong at the bus stop. I wasn't there as long. The bus hasn't even passed yet, so it wasn't like it was strange, right? And I guess I seen the police over here on the other side where the Circle K is, right? Parking Ajo, and then they come over to me, and I didn't realize that, but they're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm always too honest for my own good. You know what I mean? It's just, you got it. I'm learning.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, nothing. Just sitting here, and I didn't even have any dope. You know what I mean? I just had the old, stuff that you use with it, right? The rigs and stuff. And he's like, oh, well, what are you doing? I didn't have any ID, right? Because my wallet was stolen, but I did report that. So that was in there. And I had just gotten kicked out of Del Sol a week before, and the police knew exactly who I was, right?
Yeah.
Which was strange. So anyway, he's like, oh, well, what's your name? And I was like, oh, Megan Armstrong. And do. Go on and go on and go on. He can't find me in the damn system. He can't find me. So he calls 6 other police.
Nice.
They all come to fingerprint me, to do this. They're on my Facebook looking, oh, well, who's this and who's that? And I'm like, I'm scared by now. He asked me my name so many times. I didn't remember my name. It's tripped out.
Yeah.
I wasn't even high.
Yeah.
And I was scared out my mind. So anyway, they couldn't find me in the system. So they had to take me in. And that's where I get the paraphernalia charge, right? So boom. And I'm like, oh man, crap, whatever. So I'm out. It was my first time. So I get out on my own recognizance or whatever.
Yeah. OR.
Yeah. So I get out. And as I'm getting out, it's raining. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. At least I'm not in jail,
Yeah.
And then it starts raining harder. I'm like, oh, that's fine. And it starts raining harder and harder. And I was like, fine, okay. It was like a sign, right?
Yeah.
I'm crying. I'm like trying to get it out, right? I walk under
So
the
at this point,
underpass.
hold on. So at this point, this whole time, you are basically aligning. You getting arrested.
yeah,
This is your
yeah,
prayer being answered, and then
yeah.
you've seen it through. You're getting out,
Yeah.
and now it's raining. You're like, hey,
Yeah,
God
yeah.
is telling you
Yes,
now.
I
Right.
really do
Okay.
think this.
Yeah. No. Yeah. No. Here.
Now,
Yeah. I mean, it's
I
wild.
walk on. Yeah, it's unreal.
Yeah.
And the part I'm about to say right now is unreal too. So I get out of the underpass, right, and there's a guy in a car waiting. All right, so I don't know if he was been stalking me, but I just got out. I didn't walk that far.
Right. Right.
And he has a towel on the passenger side of the car, and he's like, "Hey, would you like a ride?" Yeah, right.
Okay.
But I would have taken a ride with Ted Bundy at the moment, right? You know what I mean? Like, I need a ride. I'm desperate, right?
Yeah.
I get in. He's like, oh, wow, how are you? And he starts talking religiously, right? But not in a weird, like a weirdo. I knew
Right.
I was safe. It
Right,
was
right,
strange.
right.
Not one.
You can feel the energy.
Yeah, so, yeah. And so I'm like, yeah, please. I'm like, oh man, can you take me over here so I could get some dry clothes and do. So, because I had a little station where my clothes were at. So he takes me, he buys me something to eat. He told me how his son had gone through some things. He didn't try to take advantage of me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He literally got me to where I needed to be. And it was strange, right? It was something else. So I got that, did that. I wound up having court for the one charge, right? At the same time I had CPS court.
No.
So I didn't know which one to go to. So I got arrested again, right? Because I had a warrant out and the chick recognized me. I'm in the same area. The cop recognized me. I tried to run. It went all bad,
Yeah.
right? So that's two. So and it honestly, this all happened in like 3 months, like right back to back, right? And so I go to the casino. It's like 3 a.m. I have a friend come pick me up, right? Everything's fine. We get in the car, or we get out of the casino. He has a flat tire, right? So I'm like, oh man, whatever. But cool, we'll just flat it down we're at Desert Diamond, so we'll go to the Circle K right there on the flat, whatever. It's not the first time. 3 a.m. in the morning, So anyway, we're driving, and I guess for some reason, his car wound up being maybe tagged for a hit and run or something like that, whatever. Anyway, whoop, whoop, whoop.
Mm-hmm.
Third time, right? Whoop, whoop, whoop. And oh man, I'm frozen. I didn't know whether to get rid of what I had on me in the lady purse or what, Yeah. So I froze. I'm in my purse. I froze, and I'm literally showing the police my needles. My paraphernalia. I'm literally frozen and showing them like I can't move.
Yeah.
I can't move.
That's crazy.
And there it is, right? I had like over like a teener, or I had a lot of meth on me. I had marijuana on me, and major paraphernalia, right? It's where the big felony comes in, right?
Okay.
Oh, I'm in the car. I was terrified.
Right.
I was so embarrassed and ashamed.
Yeah.
But that 1 second after, I was like this. Oh my God.
Like a relief.
Oh.
It's done.
I was like,
It's
oh.
done. Yeah, this is done. Yeah.
Oh, right?
Yeah.
Go to jail, do this, do that. Get out a little later, and wrap it up to the point, I have probation and
That's what leads you to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
coming to drug court.
Yeah.
And I had to talk to Desiree already, and it was a little struggle to get me there.
Right.
Well, she got herself there.
Yeah.
She got herself there, and it
was
was
a
not a
struggle.
long struggle compared to other
True,
people
true,
that we
true.
tried to get stabilized from the streets. Usually, they end up running, or we have to arrest them. We'll give them time, but you were incredible.
True. Thank you. So, yeah, I was excited for drug court because, man, it was too much. I'm done. I'm ready to retire.
She was
That,
ready.
listen, dude, that story gave me chills.
Ready.
Yeah, that story gave me chills for sure. It's wild how, like, when you look back on it, how everything lined up the way it's supposed to.
Yeah. And even more to the point that it comes down to it, I ran back out a few more times, right? Because I had to go to the rehab myself, right?
Right.
I'm like, I ran
You
right
still
back to
think
the
you know
desert.
best. Right.
Oh my God, I was like, what are you still? You know.
Yeah.
Then I waited 3 hours before I went to the Ark. It's at the bus stop doing my nails and doing all types of weird stuff, right? And I finally like, man, I gotta do this, right? And I jump in. I literally jump in. I make myself jump in because I couldn't walk in, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm here, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like this.
Where's the parade?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. And then they tell me that they can't take me right now because there's no like for meth, right? You can't just get in. You can't just get in. Yeah. And I'm like, what? I'm like, oh no,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Detox with
Yeah.
just meth,
I'm finally ready.
And they're like, yeah, we could give you a ride. The ride was like 6 hours away, right? So I'm like, I went back out.
Yeah.
Went back out. I didn't know any better. And that's when I was struggling at the hotel.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, I don't know if I can do,
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to do, whatever. I had some good talk and was able to come back, go to Desiree, and I'll never forget when you told me how you were responsible for me for 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like music to my ears.
Right.
I was like, I remember crying so
Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
because I knew I was safe,
Yeah.
whatever that looked like.
Yeah.
I knew that nobody else was going to hurt me or I wasn't going to hurt myself.
Yeah.
I knew that I was going to be safe.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And then come to find out, there was Opeblo had that go to jail 3 times in 1 month program and get housing.
Yeah,
And
I qualify. I got you.
and it was wild how it all went together like
Yeah.
that after
Yes,
I
you're
did
right.
it. Yeah, this apartment right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Ooh.
Old Pueblo
Yes.
and
I-
all your hard work.
Yeah.
It's funny how like that's probably and you can testify to this. That's a recurring theme when you talk to people who've done it successfully and throw themselves in. I feel like the number one theme in all the stories is like it just came together. One
Yeah,
thing
yes,
after another.
yeah.
It aligned.
Yeah.
And it's
For your
wild.
highest
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
It's wild. It is really crazy to see how it did fall in place. And I'm a spiritual person, but you can't deny it.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't deny it. And then
Right.
get in that house, and I was just like, what? Like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I was so excited and scared all at the same
Yeah.
time, but
Right.
ready.
Megan, so given all that, now we're here.
Yes.
Where are we? Give us a glimpse of where you're at today.
Okay,
what
all
you're
right,
doing
so I'm
now,
here.
How the family is.
All right, I'm here. I'm almost 5 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Tripped out.
Yeah.
5 years.
And I'm grateful. I'm
Yeah.
really grateful. Educator at the Haven.
Yeah.
Facility.
What is the
The Haven is what? Recovery, respect. What is it? Recovery with respect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which means a lot to me.
Right.
When I first seen that logo, I was like, this is where I need to be.
They do
Because there's so much
residential, IOP.
yes,
Right.
IOP, intensive outpatient, residential.
So it's a
They
substance
yes,
treatment
yes,
program. You
yes.
work in the IOP
Yes,
program,
yes.
so you're really working like in the front lines with those women. It's
Yes.
it's an all female program, and sometimes they can even have their kids and babies with them, right? But this
Yes,
is
that's
such a
important for me too.
vulnerable time for women in recovery because they're either coming like out of jail or from residential, right? Because it's a sober program, you have to be sober.
Yes.
And that transition from residential from inpatient is so overwhelming, right?
Right.
So
Oh,
you're,
yeah.
if you're like the first face they see in IOP when they're overwhelmed and they're getting triggered because it's still in
A
the
lot.
bad
Yeah,
area,
yeah.
constantly triggered, like you are like life and death for them. So I can't imagine your women and the amazing warriors you work with and the impact you've had when they're at their most vulnerable part of their like early recovery, you know?
Yeah. It's really important to me because I've been in those shoes. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I've been in those shoes, so I really making a point to be like, oh hi, what's your name? Hey, what's up? Every day, tell them, hey man, keep up the great work. You made it through
Right.
another week. Be proud of
Yeah.
yourself.
That's gonna
You
be
know
our,
what I
you
mean?
know how we do our closers. That's gonna be
Yeah.
your recovery with respect.
Yeah.
So when we do
Okay,
our sign
all
out,
right,
you're gonna
okay.
say recovery with respect.
Yeah.
I
And
like
that means a lot because there's a lot of stigma with all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, like so that was great. I love it there.
How long have you been at the Haven?
Over 3 months now.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice,
yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
With
yeah.
some other warriors,
Yes,
amazing
Now you're
Yes.
helping also other females who are going through the same thing that
Yes,
you've been through, even drug court.
facilitating.
Yeah.
Haven is one of the best women's programs, IOP and residential, that we have in Tucson
Wow.
too.
And you bring your kid. You could bring up to a certain amount of your babies.
Yeah.
That's
huge.
important.
That's huge. Yeah.
Huge.
Very huge. Like
Yeah.
how? Yes, I support it all the way.
That's
I'm
awesome.
very proud to be there. The team's really good, and facilitating groups. I have an opportunity to apply these things to myself.
Right.
One of the best things ever happened to me was learning radical acceptance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Radical acceptance helped me get up and find my purpose. You
Yeah.
know, I had a hard time thinking a family was coming back. I couldn't let that go. Like, I had to move on, and radically accepting it changed my life.
Yeah.
Changed my life, so I love applying this stuff to myself. I'm like,
Yeah.
I will facilitate. Oh, I better write that one down.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's going that hit home right there. And I'm
It's
thinking,
over.
And so,
I love it.
And then also, so people. So we have your sister's ashes right there. Too.
Yes,
So
yes.
how would you say your relationship with her is now that she's passed? You say you guys
Always,
heading
honestly.
closer?
To her?
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. I love now having these ashes
Yeah.
really here with me. It's a great thing. Having that picture, being able to look at her, it's very, very good. I know she's proud of me.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yes.
I think she's been with me all along.
Right.
You know what I
Sure,
mean?
right.
And
Working in the mediumship field, what we hear from loved ones that have passed a lot of times is they actually, you said it's meant to be, which is hard when you're going through
Yeah,
grief
yeah.
to accept that, right? But what they're telling us from spirit side is a lot of times it's all aligned for the highest good of you, your family, everyone. But they actually can do more work on spirit side than when they're alive. So a lot of times our family members that have passed, like my mom, your sister, Anthony's dad, they're able to do more to support us, push us, and help us on spirit side. So she's so proud of you, and I'm sure there's periods and moments where you can feel her come close to you and you can feel that pride. When you feel proud of yourself and you're thinking about her, that's her showing you, like channeling through you and showing you how proud she is of you.
nice.
Yes.
And I put her soul into a hummingbird, right? So the last 2 years, we've been having little hummingbird nests. They've been coming back for the last. Hopefully, they come back this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drug court judge used to call me the hummingbird of drug court.
Nice.
So I associate it with drug court first of all, but also with past loved ones and God or the universe, whatever you want to call it. So tell me about putting her soul in a hummingbird. What does that mean?
Well, the way she went, if you would let religion tell it, it could be hard to ever move forward from that, right?
right.
Maybe she's stuck in the house where she's
Right.
at, or she goes to hell,
Well,
stuff
right,
like
certain
that.
religions- yeah, right,
Yeah,
right.
right. And like I said, I've never been real religious, but we are sort of conditioned to it, like a lot
Yes.
of our
But
lives.
it's a key point. Really, there's a difference between spirituality and religion.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
And you're very
Yeah.
spiritual, obviously.
Yeah.
I can hear
Yeah.
the themes
Yeah.
there.
So it was easier for me to be able to move on, right?
Right.
I still have nightmares of her being stuck in the house, right? So for me, I had to flip it into a positive, right? That's the only way I could work is a positive. So
Yeah.
putting it into a hummingbird, and hummingbirds mean so much. Like there's like all types of like it's spiritual hummingbirds, right?
Right.
So I put it into for myself. And ever since then, I've had hummingbirds come close to me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So like it was this internal process of like imagining her soul in a hummingbird.
Yes.
Do you know in that moment when you did that, you made that decision and you went through that internal process that you probably really like released her to now stay around you through hummingbirds?
Nice, yeah.
And probably released her to then move around in the spirit realm, which is beautiful.
Every time I see a hummingbird, I'm like, hey, Ken, hi, I love you.
My mom
Yeah.
comes through in Roadrunners.
Nice.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, she had the
some
rotor.
crazy
Yeah.
Cool.
stories with
No,
my
she had.
mom
I remember
coming
her
up.
telling me one about like going across the roof, whatever, and then
Yes,
slapping
while I
it.
was meditating,
Oh, wow.
because I'm on the second level and my meditation area is on upstairs. So
Okay.
I was meditating and I started talking to my mom, and then I looked to the left and there's a roadrunner just walking across the roof of my neighbor right, like level-eyed.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, how
just
cool.
on the roof. I'm like, okay, mom, you got my attention. I'm listening. I'm listening.
Yeah, that's really cool. I really love where I'm at now. You know what I mean? Like in life.
Yeah.
Best thing that ever happened to me was getting in my 40s, right?
Yeah.
Finally a little wise,
Yeah.
Right.
understand things a lot differently and better now,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah,
want
yeah.
things now. I have
Right.
standards now,
Right.
you know, and I'm manifesting my
Yeah.
future
Yeah,
every day,
manifesting.
right? I see whatever it looks like, but there's a barbecue going on.
Yeah, yeah.
I got a yard.
Good.
Yeah.
Whether my boys are men or whatever, it's out there. It's
Right.
going. That's where I'm aiming. That's why I
Yes.
work so hard, because
It's
that's
gonna
where I'm
get there.
choo-chooing to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep, it's
And-
coming.
And when you visualize it, and you put yourself there, like right now, how does that feel?
Good, exciting.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Ugh. That's
Hopeful.
when you know you're really manifesting. When you get excited.
I feel like nothing, you know.
Nothing can stop
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
It's-
yeah. I feel like a train, like
Yeah.
a straight train,
Yeah.
like.
Just gotta keep going. Just gotta
Yeah,
keep going.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I understand hiccups will be along the way. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? My mom's getting older, but I now, you know, have a level head and know there's many resources out there and
Yeah.
and people that want to help. You know what I mean? I know now not to push everything, and I feel like I really have a purpose and went through some of these hard times for a reason.
Yeah, no, that's
Because
a
maybe we
beautiful
can,
story.
you know,
An
touch-
amazing story.
Yeah, maybe, you know, a lot of girls, they cry about their DCS cases, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm like, I know how hard it is, but you're doing it.
Right.
Be proud of it.
DCS
It
is
won't be
really
forever.
hard.
Yeah.
I'm learning about DCS in my master's program, so it needs some changes, but yeah, they are incredible. Yes, and for you to be able to know what they're experiencing, but also come out on the other side and just remind them. 'Cause
And it's worth it, yeah,
They need
yeah.
they need those reminders almost every day. Yeah.
And I do, and you know, for at one point in the beginning of all that, I was ashamed. It was hard to come off
Yeah.
the tongue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I also noticed the more I say, the more I can
You release it.
embrace it
You
or
release
release
it,
it or
yes.
whatever.
The more you're healing.
Yeah.
Megan,
Yeah.
she knows this because we've been doing this for a while now. You know, the thing that I always release out there, and I'm a big believer that the stuff that will take you back out if you hide it and you
Yeah.
hold it out there, you know, is that I've been part of DCS. My daughter's been exposed to drugs. I've had to go through that. The way I earn back that trust is by me continuing on my everyday path. If I hide that, I'm a true believer that that's gonna start building like guilt, shame, and it's gonna
keep you
it
sick.
can take me back out. Yeah, right, keeps you sick. Yeah. So I sincerely appreciate you being vulnerable, being, you know, honest about your story. It's a beautiful thing. I'm so glad I got to meet you and get
Yes,
to know your
yes,
story.
yes.
You know? Before we close, you want to share with people, anybody that's suffering, what would you tell them, anybody that's watching that's suffering?
Okay, actually, there's a saying I learned. John Lennon.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, John Lennon.
Yes. Let me see. It goes. Okay. Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I really, really love that. It means a lot to me,
Yeah.
right? Because we could go through a lot of things, but I'm a firm believer that in the end, everything's going to be okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. It
I
absolutely
really,
is.
really feel
gotta
it,
see it through.
deep down. Yeah,
Yes.
and you're going to have
In
to
your
go through
soul.
hurdles,
Yes.
hiccups, all types of grief, pain, whatever, you know, whatever life brings, you know.
Yeah.
But we can learn from it all,
Yes.
and everything's going to be okay.
Yes.
And if it's not okay, it's not the end.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I love it.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you for sharing
yes,
that,
yes.
Yeah.
Sorry it
Megan.
took so long, but yeah.
I
No,
love
no,
it.
Yeah,
it's fine,
I
it's fine.
like that is my thing now.
No, I love it.
I
I love
have
it.
to memorize it, of
Yeah.
course, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
that means a lot to me.
No, I love it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I want to go home and tell it to everyone now.
Yeah, it means a lot to me because it's true, you know. Like, oh well, if everything's not okay, well, it's not the end, so I'm
This
good.
is temporary.
Yeah, it just takes it off. Yeah, it
it's
takes
a
a little.
reminder that it's temporary.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
All right. That ends our episode, right?
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
a good one.
okay,
Thank you
okay.
so much. So proud of
Yeah,
you.
sorry, it seemed like it was all over the
No,
place.
you're
Like,
good. No,
no,
that's awesome.
yeah,
We
I
can
didn't know.
edit it. It's-
Okay.
You're good. You're
All
good.
right,
Yeah.
all
It
right.
wasn't all over the place.
No,
Okay,
it was
it was
beautiful.
so boring. There's
Yeah.
some boring. Okay.
No, it
Absolutely.
All
flowed
right.
really good.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
I'm telling you right now, the point where you were in tears about the kids, I
Oof.
I was ready to go.
Oh.
Yeah.
It got me. So
Yeah. So thank you for your bravery,
Thank you.
your
Thank you.
vulnerability. Thank
Yeah.
you for being here. Thank you for still being in
thank
my
you.
life, because
Yes,
it
yes,
means
same,
so much
same.
that,
It is important.
that I get to stay connected to
Yes.
you. You're like the shining star.
Yes.
So I see just so much light in you. So I'm
Yes.
excited to continue to see you on this like amazing path
Yes,
with your
thank you.
sister
Yes, definitely.
and your dad probably. So we'll end there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So until next time, I want to remind you guys you deserve nothing but the best and to never give up.
And I want to remind you that we see you, we hear you, and we are here for you. Oh.
2 mics.
Yeah,
Two mics.
yeah.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. And recovery with respect always. Always.
Always.
Good
Thank
stuff.
you, Megan. Yay!
Yay!
Appreciate you.
Yes,
Good
thank
stuff.
you. Thank you
Ambassadors
so
of
much.
Recovery Radio, breathing life into the souls with the podcast show. Real lives, real struggles, yeah, we grow together as a community. We only trying to do better. New solutions, we trying to flip the script. We hear you, we see you. Please don't ever quit.